All right, let's look at some practice problems. We have 3 ounces for every 3/4 cup. So when we do the practice problems, we want to get in the habit of writing our ratio in words to make sure that we set it up correctly. So we are going to have ounces over cup. So we have 3 ounces, that would be my numerator. For every 3/4 cup, that would be our denominator. So we have an example of a complex fraction. Our goal is to get our denominator to be 1 because we are looking for the unit rate. So we will divide the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So 3 divided by 3/4, and we will also divide the denominator by 3/4. So we will write that out as a division problem. So we have our 3, we'll make it look like a fraction by putting it over 1. And remember, when you're dividing fractions, don't be shy. Flip the second one over and multiply. So the division will change to multiplication. We will use the reciprocal of the second fraction. We will flip it over. 3/4 will become 4 over 3. And then we will be able to, we can actually cancel out our 3's. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we're left with 4 over 1. So that is our numerator. So our numerator is now 4. And our denominator, if we divide 3/4 divided by 3/4, it's going to be 1. But let's look and see what that looks like. We would take the first fraction. The division sign would become multiplication. We would use the reciprocal of the second fraction. So 3/4 would become 4/3. Our 3's would cancel out. And our 4's would cancel out. And our denominator would be 1. Since we are looking for a unit rate, that is our goal. So our unit rate would be 4 ounces for every 1 cup. Now, when you divide a number by itself, you know that you're going to get 1. I just wanted to show you that step and how that looks. If you need to go back and rewatch or anything, you can pause and rewind and go back as needed. We're going to try number 3 now. 84 miles for every 3 5/10 gallons, or we could say 3.5 gallons. So remember, we want to write it out in words, so we're going to have our ratio of miles over gallons, and we are looking for the unit rate. So our numerator will be 84 for the miles, and our denominator will be 3 5/10 for the gallons. When we find a unit rate, we divide our numerator and our denominator by our denominator. So we will be dividing 84 divided by 3.5 and 3.5 divided by 3.5. So as we had discussed before, when we divide something by itself, we're going to get 1. So we want our denominator to be 1. And we have to also divide our numerator by our denominator. So 84 divided by 3 5/10. So remember, when we do division, our first number is going to go in, the 84, and we're going to divide by 3 5/10. When we divide decimals, our divisor cannot be a decimal. It must be a whole number. So we have to move the decimal as many times as necessary. In this case, it would be moving it to the right once. So we're multiplying by 10. Whatever you do in the divisor, you must be doing the dividend. Our decimal is currently right here. Remember, if you don't see the decimal, out of sight, to the right. So you're going to have to move it one place to the right and add your 0 and take your decimal straight up into your answer. Now we're ready to divide. How many times can 35 go into 84? It can go in there 2 times. 2 divided by 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So we would subtract, and then we would get 14. And our next step is to bring down the 0. How many times does 35 go into 140? And the answer is 4 times. When we multiply, 4 times 5 is 20. Carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14. So we're subtracting 140 minus 140, and we're getting a 0. So our numerator is going to be 24, and our denominator is 1. So that is our unit rate. And so we have 24 miles per gallon. So that's our unit rate. Let's try one more. We have 5 pounds for $1.25. So we are going to try to figure out the cost per pound. So remember, we want to write it out in words first. Cost per pound. So our numerator will be our cost, which is $1.25. And our denominator will be pounds, which is 5 pounds. Our goal is to find the unit rate. In a unit rate, the denominator is 1. So to find the unit rate, we will divide the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So I will divide the numerator by 5, and I will divide the denominator by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so my denominator is 1. So now I have to divide my numerators. $1.25 divided by 5. Remember, first number goes in, second goes out. Our divisor is a whole number, so we do not need to move the decimal in the divisor, so we will take the decimal straight up into the answer from the dividend and divide. 5 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract and get 2. Bring down a 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract and get 0. So the cost per pound is 25 cents. So it is 25 cents per pound. If you need to go back and rewatch to see how those problems are worked, you may do that. And you need to try 2, 4, and 6 on your own following the notes and the examples. Thank you. Hope that made sense. Have a great day. Let's try a word problem. We're going to solve each unit rate. Katie and Susan went to the movies and purchased a large drink. After 20 minutes, Katie drank 1/4 of her drink. After 50 minutes, Susan drank 5/12 of her drink. Who is drinking their drink faster? So we need to figure out the amount per hour. Amount per hour. So we know that Katie drank 1/4 of her drink in 20 minutes. So the amount that Katie drank is 1/4. That would be her numerator. And per hour, but we have 20 minutes. So we have to go back to 20 minutes and figure out how much of an hour is 20 minutes. Well, 20 out of the total 60 minutes that are in an hour would simplify to 1/3. So per hour would be 1/3 of an hour. So now we want to find the unit rate of how quickly Katie was drinking her drink. Remember, to find the unit rate, you divide the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. 1/3 divided by 1/3 is going to be 1. 1/4 divided by 1/3. Remember, dividing fractions, don't be shy. Flip the second one over and multiply. So the first fraction is 1/4. Division becomes a multiplication. 1/3, we use the reciprocal and use 3 over 1. And now we multiply fractions. Top times the top is 3. Bottom times the bottom is 4. And my numerator is 1. So Katie drank 3/4 of her drink in 20 minutes. Okay, I apologize. Katie drank 3/4 of her drink per hour. 3/4 per hour. Apologize for that, because we converted our minutes to hours. All right, now let's figure out what happened with Susan. So again, we're going to have amount over the hour. So the amount that Susan drank was 5/12, and the hour, Susan, after 50 minutes, had drank 5/12 of her drink. So if we put 50 over 60, that's going to simplify to 5/6. So Susan, we're talking about 5/6 of an hour for her amount of time. We need to find the unit rate, so we're going to divide the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. 5/6 divided by 5/6 is going to be 1. So our denominator will be 1. And 5/12 divided by 5/6, going to have to work that out. So the first fraction stays the same, 5/12. Division becomes multiplication, and the 5/6 becomes 6/5. And we can cancel. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. We could also cancel out the 6's. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. Top times the top gives me 1. Bottom times the bottom gives me 2. My denominator is 1. So Susan drank 1/2 of her drink per hour. So Katie drank more per hour. So Katie is drinking faster. You try these other 2 word problems on your own, and we'll discuss those in class. Thank you.